All right. Welcome to the Patterns and Profits podcast. I'm Tom Gentile. And I'm pissed. You want to know why I'm pissed? Because I recorded this already. And then I went back and none of the audio took. So it was a lot of this. Anyway, I got the audio recording now. So that will be just fine. Hey, glad to have you hanging out here with me, guys. We got a lot to cover today. And I am going to focus it all on that subject right there. What is that? That's a small screen. I'll make it a big screen in a few minutes, and we will talk about it because it's important that we talk about that. It has to do with some big news that happened last week. Like I said, I've been here. I haven't been here for 2 weeks. Hey, if you're new, consider subscribing to the channel. You'll get all of the videos and everything that I've done here for years now. For those of you that are back, I want to thank you for voting because I will be doing all of these podcasts by video now. So there we go. Lots happened in the last week. And a lot has to do with that, the reaction to that chart over there. And what is that chart over there? That has to do with the biggest news that's happened. What is the biggest news story in the last couple of weeks? I know. Yellowstone's back. I couldn't even say that with a straight face. Yellowstone is back. And after watching the first episode of the back half of season 5, I think I got that right. I can safely say I'm not going to be in any hurry to watch any more episodes because they killed off Kevin Costner in the very first scene practically. So obviously he's gone, and the show's not going to be the same. Anyway, no, that's not the biggest news. You know what the biggest news is. It's the big elephant in the room. It's last week's election. I want to talk about elections. I want to talk about Bitcoin. Okay? That's what I'm doing for today's podcast. For those of you that said, Tom, can you do a podcast on cryptocurrency? Tom, can you do a podcast on Bitcoin? And what you feel is going on and what you feel you're likely to see in the coming months and the coming years. This one's for you, okay? It's not going to be like everybody else that's out there talking about Bitcoin, because everybody else is talking about Bitcoin is either looking decades in the future or they're only looking about 10 days in the future. I'm going to be somewhere in the middle. So if you're one of those long-term capital gain kind of folks, but you want to take a capital gain sometime in the future, then you're at the right place. All right. Election. Now, let me say this. I know by mentioning his name, I'm going to anger some of the folks listening to the podcast. I mean, the political spectrum was pretty divided. But I might even cut my audience down to size. Here's what I want to say about this to get started. First of all, you're not here for a political speech. You're not here because you're on one side of the aisle or the other side of the aisle. You're here because you're a rules-based, objective, probability trader. We spot opportunities. We create alternative strategies. We plan, manage, and execute on those strategies. All right? To do that, we have to look for patterns in the marketplace, and I look for repeatable patterns. And so I want to show you an interesting pattern that you might have spotted, or maybe you didn't, but it won't fool you a third time. And that's what I want to do. And to do that, I don't want to talk about the chart on the screen just yet. But what I want to do is I want to talk about the last 25 years for a moment. Okay? Because this is a pattern that's based off of politics. But it's not a Democratic pattern. It's not a Republican pattern. Let's see if you could spot what it is as we go forward. All right? So let's talk about the year 2000 for a moment. The year 2000, I think the year 2000 was more divided than this year's election because it came down to some hanging chads in Florida and some votes from the military that were deployed overseas at the time. And that small amount put George W. Bush in the White House, right? And it kicked Al Gore out of the White House. Now, let's go to 2004, all right? Really quickly. Bush won again against Kerry. What happened to the world? A lot of money, a lot of stimulus, a lot of injection into liquidity. QE was happening, all right? 2008, we get a complete reversal. Got a financial crisis on our hands. This one pushed people for change, and Barack Obama was the change they were looking for. Now, along with Barack Obama, they got more stimulus. We were saving banks. Remember, we are the 99%? Remember that? Right? But yet, Wall Street got bailed out. I think one guy went to jail. But I got to say, the economy was jump-started, because if it wasn't, then Obama would not have gotten a second term, which he did in 2012. And what did we get in 2012 besides the second term? We got ACA. We got healthcare, all right? Obamacare, as it was called. The markets, however, were interesting because they drifted sideways. You know what? I'm going to come off of this chart here. I want to go to SPY. I'm going to bring up the S&P 500, and I want to shut everything down, and I want you to look right here. Let's widen this out, all right? Let's look at, this is a monthly chart. So I'm going to spread this out, all right? I'm going to spread this out, and we are going to look at 4 years, and we're going to go back. Here we go. Here's 2012. Now, here's the election that happened at the end of 2012. So you got 13, 14, 15, and 16 going on. Here we go. 13 up, 14 up. Look at 2015. We saw that some lower highs and lower lows. We didn't get above the 2015 highs decisively until we got into November and December. What happened in October of 2016? Donald Trump was elected to be our 45th president. What happened on the chart? Well, we actually went down a bit before we went higher. Let me put the chart so everybody can see it. See that box of going sideways? And that sideways stuff, I mean, you look at the highs in 2014, and those were the lows in 2016. And, you know, even though we got to new all-time highs by the time we got out of October, you know what else happened? And I'm going to say this more than once. The American public are about 6 months behind the stock market. So as the stock market's going higher, the Americans were still back in the beginning of 2016. They were, that was the forgotten American. It was the silent majority. They were in need of some change themselves, and that's where Donald Trump got elected. So let's go forward 4 years. So here's 17, 18, 19, and 20 on the screen for you. 2017, break into new all-time highs. 2018, we kind of shifted back and forth. We actually formed this weird kind of outside cone. 2019, we moved up to new all-time highs. And then 2020, which was an election year, we saw the markets shift downward. We went right back down to the 2016 numbers with COVID. Happened in 2 months. 2016, we came back. We made new all-time highs by the time we got into October, but by then it was too late. Even though Wall Street was experiencing new highs, Main Street was still suffering from the COVID blues. And I believe that was one of the reasons that the Biden-Harris administration came back into power, and Donald Trump did not get a second consecutive term. All right, let's move the clock forward 4 more years. And here's where we are today. So, you know, we had this 2021 increase. We had a bear market in 2022. We came back in 2023. And in 2024, we jumped to new all-time highs. And it's been just election dream year for the stock market. All right. It's been a dream year for the stock market. So what happened? What happened? I think there was a lot of things that happened that made this a really weird election year. All right. You kind of take the fact that back in June, You had Trump on stage with Biden, and all of a sudden Biden needed to go. He went from being this fully functioning president to we can't win with him. He gets replaced by Harris, who immediately saw a jump in the polls. But by the time the election was underway, that had eroded. All right, that feel good had eroded. So I'm going to get back to that in a moment. But I want to talk about the last 25 years and sum this up. And I want to ask you a question because I ask myself this question all the time. Did the government directly help me in becoming the rules-based trader and the person and investor that I am? And the answer is no. I'll even take it back a couple of other times. Did the government help me hedge myself during the Obama-Bush era when the markets dropped 50% back in 2008? Absolutely not. I was heavy in real estate. Did I get a break? No, I didn't get a break at all. Did the government help me grow my equity accounts back? No, they didn't. In fact, they tried to tax them. And more importantly, there was talk of taxing unrealized gains. Now, I'm going to talk about Bitcoin for pretty much the remainder of this podcast. Because here's another question I asked myself. Did the government have anything to do with helping me mine Bitcoin? No, they didn't. In fact, they tried to ban it. They did ban and delist a lot of security tokens that were on, disappeared because they didn't want to go through the potential fines and shutdowns and possibly even jail time for having what was called an unregistered security token. And maybe they do need to be regulated, all right? Because we all know that when coins are minted, at the very top is the person or people who minted them that stand to gain the most. But what about Bitcoin? Who mined Bitcoin? Nobody knows. They just know the pseudonym, Satoshi Nakamoto. Who is he? Netflix tried to answer that question, or was it HBO? Somebody did a special on who they thought Satoshi Nakamoto was, and it ended up being somebody who passed away. Even if it was him or her. Here's the problem. This is why I think Bitcoin is the perfect coin. Because you know why it's unregulated? You know why it can't be a security token? Because nobody's there to claim it. It was, as Michael Saylor said, it was created, it was given away, the technology, the whole thing, it was given away to the public, and then the creator disappeared. As Michael Saylor said, he quoted, Satoshi created it, he gave it away, and then he went away. And all of this happened anonymously. So since he gained nothing and he can't be found and he can't be brought into Congress for a hearing, it really is a commodity. It's an asset. It's a store of value. Probably the most Robin Hood thing you could do. The most gangster Robin Hood thing you could do is create something and then give it away. So, but it's just interesting because they tried to ban it anyway. There were countries around the world that tried to ban it. And so they couldn't ban it because they couldn't control it. So they thought, well, we can't control it on that side. Let's control it on the out. We can't control it on the in. Let's control it on the out. And the way we'll control it on the out is we'll tax it. And lo and behold, they decided to tax it as an asset. And little did they know, they actually legitimized it. So fast forward. Let's fast forward to 2024 to right now. All right, number 47 is taking center stage next year. And he says there's going to be massive changes, just like everybody before him. And a lot of you probably think, yeah, I've heard that before. And he's already getting ready for 2025, and he's already picked out his cabinet, and he wants these things approved so he can get to work at the beginning of the year. I already feel some change. Something's a little different. And, you know, the American people are watching this, and there's more transparency. At least there's the appearance of more transparency now more than ever. And it's because, I believe it's because of X. Because if you look right now, again, let's forget about what side of the aisle you sit on for a moment. In fact, let's forget about what side of the aisle you sit on for the rest of this podcast. Because if you look at X X is trending now as the #1 place people get their news, because anytime something goes out there, there's the community that can go out and confirm it or rebuttal against it. All right. This all can happen. Now, let's take the information that we know right now from X about what the Trump administration wants to do, what they want to do getting right off the ground. So let me put it on the screen for you. They want to extend the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. They want to lower corporate taxes even further. They want to end taxes on tips. They want to end taxes on Social Security. They want to end taxes on overtime pay. And I heard a rumor that in the area of capital gains, they want to wipe off taxes on Bitcoin. Wow. I mean, I don't know if they can get this through, but they have a pretty good chance if they've got the House, the Senate, and the executive branches, and everybody's on board. We'll see. We'll see. They want to ban travel from certain countries. Now, they want to put this together because they want to close the border down, and they want to enforce stricter rules. Right? I'm not going to tell you my opinions. Right? My opinions mean nothing as a pattern trader. I'm just showing you what they want to do. They want deregulation, which is going to cause it's going to really kind of cause the elimination, or a lot of it, of federal bureaucracy. They went back already and said there are over 400 agencies at the federal government. They want to bring that down. They want to cut that out by 75, 80%. So if you look at what Elon Musk did with Twitter, he got rid of 80% of the workforce in Twitter within the first, couple months? Remember him walking in with that kitchen sink and he's throwing everything out but the kitchen sink? He did it. And honestly, I see nothing but improvements on X. And that's what I see. Okay. That's what I see. By the way, what do you see? You want to throw a comment out there. Tell me what you see, if you see the changes on X being good or bad. I'm open to hearing both because I use it as a news source. They want to roll back woke ideologies. They want to deregulate energy. I think you're going to see America become once again an independent, a net output of energy. They want to strengthen the military. They want to invest in big tech. I think what they want to do with big tech is invest in it, but also invest on decensorizing, right? They want to get rid of censorship. They want to bring back freedom of speech. Again, not my words. This is coming right out of the administration. So, and there's much more. This is just the bullet points. My question again, folks, what's big government done for you? Because it hasn't done much for me. I don't think it's done anything for me. Instead of waiting for big government to help you, why don't we use big government as pattern traders to help us? So I'm going to show you a pattern that I hope a lot of you spotted and did something with. So to do that, Trump says he wants to be the pro-Bitcoin president. I want to roll some tape from back in July at the Bitcoin convention in Nashville earlier this year. Roll that tape.
In just 15 years, Bitcoin has gone from merely an idea posted anonymously on an internet message board to being the 9th most valuable asset anywhere in the world. Can you believe that? Is that right? That's a big deal.
Okay. Love him or hate him, he likes to keep promises. Whether you like his promises or you hate his promises, he likes to keep his promises. So if you at least believe that, then you got to buy more Bitcoin, or you got to be bullish Bitcoin the moment he's elected. Now, let's put one more clip in there to kind of drive it home.
Never sell your Bitcoin. And so, as the final part of my plan today, I am announcing that if I am elected, it will be the policy of my administration, United States of America, to keep 100% of all the Bitcoin the U.S. government currently holds or acquires into the future. We'll keep 100%. I hope you do well, please. This will serve in effect as the core of the strategic national Bitcoin stockpile.
Okay, this is from back in July once again. I got Bitcoin on the screen. I'm going to talk about it in a moment. But, you know, everything we saw since July was that this race was neck and neck. All right. So what ended up happening? Let me throw a chart on the screen for you. On election day, November 5th, BTC was trading at 70. Later that evening, the numbers broke. They broke to Trump, and Bitcoin broke to new all-time highs. And the following day, we were trading around 80K. So where's it been in the last week? Well, as of this podcast, we traded around 93.5. Sounds like an FM radio station. Let me say it again, 93,500. I want you to let that sink in a bit. Now, even though I mine Bitcoin, I can't tell you how many times I said to myself over the last 10 years, boy, I wish I would have bought more on this date. I know I did that in 2017 when it was below 1,000. I know I did that in 2020 when it dipped below 5K. I bought some during COVID. And of course, I wished I bought more. And in 2022, I was buying limit orders as it was dropping below 50. It was dropping to 40 and 35. And I was buying it down. And I didn't have that feel good because, you know, when you're buying something that's going, when it's at 50 and it goes down below 20 and it's in the teens, you don't feel good. It's tough. And it was probably tougher for anybody else to do that than me because my cost basis goes all the way back to mining coins. But then I got smart and I decided, you know what, instead of buying these things on supports and buying them on the way down, how about I stop all this nonsense and let me buy it on resistance levels? So I looked at resistance levels and I said, we get to 50, I'm going to buy it. And it did. And when we get to 60, I'm going to buy it. And it did, and I did. When it got to 69.5, which was a support point that I liked, I bought again. When we got to 73.5, which was the all-time high, I bought again, and I bought it at 80, and I bought it at 90, and where's my next buy-in? Well, take a guess. Where do you think my next buy-in is going to be? If you guessed 100K, you are right. 5 years ago, and don't hold me to this. This is something that I saw. so I saw it online and decided I wanted to talk about it. 5 years ago, the average cost of a house in the U.S. was somewhere north of $250,000. Today, it's north of $400,000. I'm including red states, blue states, you know, states that have very few people per square mile and states that have a bunch. Average cost of home ownership in the U.S. is north of $400,000. But when you look at it in Bitcoin, 2019, the average cost of a house was 25 Bitcoin. Today, it's only 5 Bitcoin. Would you rather have cash or would you rather have Bitcoin? All right. So again, back to the question, would I consider selling? I would consider selling some. Hey, look, you know, I'm a pattern trader. I'm a rules-based trader. And so when I look at this, when I look at that number up there, getting bigger and bigger, you know, I got to say to myself, would I sell some? Would I consider selling some? Yeah, this number's got to get a lot bigger than it is now. I really got to feel the greed. And we're not at the sentiment right now. There's still a lot of people out there that are bearish. There's still a lot of shorts out there with Bitcoin. That's great. And there's still a lot of news left over that I think is going to make this catalyst go well into the 6-figure number. Right? There'll be a point where, as a rules-based trader, I'm going to have to take some off. But I'm never going to sell it all. That would be ridiculous based on what we've seen in the last 10 years. All right? So that's it. And of course, history, if it repeats itself, we may cycle back down and then back up to new highs. And I don't want to be in a position where I over leverage. I want to be in a position where I'm at right now. I love seeing it where it is right now. But is it every bit of my day? No, it's not. Right? And who knows? 4 years from now could be much, much higher. I'll be in my mid 60s then. I might even forget I own it. All right. So thanks again for hanging out with me, guys. And like I said, hit that subscribe link and you get access to all of my videos, all of our podcasts, especially when I drop them. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks again for hanging out with me, guys. And as always, wish you a great day, great week. We'll see you again. Bye now.